Namaskar and welcome to all of you on this inaugural session of 30th IMA International Management Conclave 2023 on India's growth enablers. The subject of this session is India's growth enablers, and we'll present here stars of India Incorporated who have exemplary growth story to share. साथियों, आपने 3 ants की story सुनी होगी. These 3 ants were discussing about their goals and ambitions in their life. एक पहला बोलता है, मैं सबसे बड़ा ant बनना चाहता हूँ. दूसरा बोलता है, मैं सबसे ताकतवर ant बनना चाहता हूँ. तो तीसरा बोलता है कि मैं तो ant बने ही नहीं रहना चाहता, मैं अपने आप को रीइन्वेंट करना चाहता हूँ, इवॉल्व करना चाहता हूँ और एक खूबसूरत बटरफ्लाई बनना चाहता हूँ. My dear friends, whether you are an ant, you are a company or you are a nation, only those who can reinvent and evolve will lead this world. We present to you the theme story of IMA's International Management Conclave 2023. I request Mr. Akhilesh Rathi, President IMA and MD Savit Universal Limited, to escort on stage Dr. Himanshu Rai, Chairman of IMA Board and Director of IIM Indore, Mr. Shri Gopal Kabra, MD and Group President of RR Global, Mr. Sanjay Jain, MD of TT Limited, and Mr. Sanjay Agrawal, Director and CEO of AU Small Finance Bank. May I request all the dignitaries on the stage to do the honors of lamp lighting ceremony. And may I also request Mr. Satish Chandra Gupta, DGM of State Bank of India, to also join for the lamp lighting ceremony. Thank you. May I now request Mr. Sanjeev Khanna from Patanjali Foods Limited and Ms. Shonali Paul, board member of IMA, to do the honors of giving floral welcome and presenting mementos to Dr. Himanshu Roy. एक मिनट Now I request Ms. Sushma Nandi from Business Automations and Mr. Santosh Muchal, CA and past president of IMA, to do the honors of welcoming and giving memento to Mr. Shri Gopal Kabraji. I now request Mr. Prateek Maheshwari and Mr. Vijay Goyal to do the honors of welcome and presenting mementos to Mr. Sanjay Jain. पैक ही देना. May I now request Mr. Anil Joshi from Vishal Fab and Mr. Girish Mangla from Mangla Engineering to do the honors of welcoming Mr. Sanjay Agrawal and presenting the memento. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Himanshu Rai, Chairman of Board of Governors of IMA, to declare this conclave open.
Very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. I declare the 30th IMA International Management Conclave open.
Thank you, sir. And with this, we present to you the countdown and curtain raiser.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now I invite Mr. Akhilesh, IMA President, Now I invite Mr. Akhilesh Rathi, President of IMA, to give the welcome address. When we have all the speakers, if you have any questions, you can send us the slips.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. That's the energy needed at IMA. There is a saying at IMA that there are 20, 30 presidents working all the time. And I am just by name and designation named as president. But what you see today, the entire energy is all the IMA committee members, the board members, and whom we call very dearly as Team IMA. So I'm welcoming you all on behalf of the Team IMA, a very warm and hearty welcome to all of you. Warm welcome to our honorable speakers, respected delegates, and dear students. Welcome to the 30th International Management Conclave hosted by the Indore Management Association. In these 2 days, we'll have exciting time with 23 speakers spread over 15 sessions, speaking on the theme of reinvent, evolve, and lead. Speaking is not just the lectures, there are fireside chats, there are panel discussions, and there are for young people, for startups, there are side sessions which will benefit them. IMA, you will be delighted to know, was formed in 1963, and this is the 30th International Management Conclave hosted at Indore. I am also happy to share that IMA has been adjudged as the best management association in the country 15 times. Further glad to share that last 3 years we have continuously won the award. Welcome our guest of honors in the inaugural session, Shri Sanjay Agarwal, Managing Director and CEO, AU Small Bank. Of course, the name is Small Bank, but he is a big bank now. So welcome, sir. Shri Gopalji Kabra, who is the Managing Director and President of the RR Cable Group. Shri Sanjay Jain, Managing Director of TT Limited, a very famous author and an industry leader. And of course, our own Dr. Himanshu Rai, the Director of IIM Indore. You know, as a child, we have grown seeing one blue tin dabba. The tin dabba contained coconut oil. And as a child till now, the only thing that has changed in our coconut oil, that it has become from a tin dabba, a tin box, to a nice blue bottle of different shapes. The credit of this transformation and building the largest brand of coconut oil in the country goes to none other than Mr. Harsh Mariwala, who is the chairman of Marico Limited. We welcome him. He is our awardee for the Lifetime Achievement Award for the last year, 2021. Another brand which has made important inroads in our life is Fevicol. We all, if you think of an adhesive, Fevicol, Fevikwik, Fevistick, M-Seal, and nowadays Dr. Fixit as waterproofing chemical. The person behind the grand success of this organization, which has made Mr. Madhukar Parekh the 16th richest Indian on the Forbes list, chairman of Pidilite, is our Lifetime Achievement Awardee for the year 2022. We heartily welcome Mr. Madhukar Parekh as well. Those who are patronizing IMA for last many decades must be surprised over this change, because we have been hosting all our programs in the Abhay Prashal, which was a sports arena, wherein there are 3,000 students in the galleries and about 1,000 people from the corporates on the floor. There has been a continuous demand to accommodate more corporates, more industries, more professionals, more business entrepreneurs. Therefore, with increased capacity of 50%, we have shifted it to Brilliant Convention Center. So welcome all the delegates, all the new companies, all the new businesses who are supporting IMA. In fact, this year also, there are 21 student chapters from 21 colleges. More than 2,000 students are there online. So welcome all the students. Even today here, we have more than 300 students in this hall. Welcome all my young friends. There is a welcome to all the 23 speakers. I have mentioned about our awardees and the gentlemen on the dais. But I also welcome Mr. Anand Sen, Managing Director of Tata International Limited, Mr. Sunil Rohokale, Managing Director of ASK Investments, Dr. Satya Gupta, Founder and CEO of VLSI Society, Mr. MP Vijay Kumar, who is the CFO of SIFI, Lieutenant General Dr. Rajesh Pant, Cyber Security Expert in the Prime Minister's Office, Mr. Anubrata Viswas, who is the Managing Director of Airtel Payment Bank, Ms. Richa Anirudh, author and media personality, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture, Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, and in the end today, we'll hear the words of wisdom from none other than Swami Gyan Vatsalji from BAPS, Ahmedabad. That will end the day 1. On day 2, again, it's a power-packed session. I will request you all to make the best of it. We have Ms. Usha Barwale, who is the Managing Director of Maheko Seeds, Padam Shri Savji Bhai Dholakia, Hare Krishna Exports, the Diamond King of the country. Then we have the most coveted, most respected spiritual leader, Mahatriya Ra, the head of Infinitum, Mr. Gunjan Shah, MD of Bata Limited, Mr. Nilesh Shah, Managing Director of Kotak Mutual Fund, Mr. Bala, sorry, and of course our motivational leader, Mr. Simarjeet Singh, who has been a champion motivational life coach. Welcome, welcome all of you. Thank you very much for coming to Indore on our invite and blessing with your words of wisdom to IMA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Akhilesh ji. And before I invite first speaker, Dr. Himanshu Rai, to address us, may I request for the AV introduction of Dr. Himanshu Rai.
Dr. Himanshu Rai. Dr. Himanshu Rai is the director at IIM Indore. Under his dynamic leadership, IIM Indore got the Triple Crown accreditation of AMBA, AACSB and EQUIS, making it one of the coveted 100 institutions in the world to have this honor. His profile includes a stint of over 8 years at Tata Steel, where he played a pivotal role in developing quality systems and the communication policy for the company. He is an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad and KREC Suratkal. His latest book, titled Organizational Behavior, is co-authored with Stephen McShane and Marianne Vaughan Glennow. Dr. Himanshu is the chairperson of Indore Management Association, chairperson of the Advisory Board of Durban University of Technology Business School, South Africa, and member, International Advisory Board of ESC, Clermont Graduate School of Management, France. He is the recipient of NTSE Scholarship, Infosys Fellowship, and LMA Outstanding Management Professional Award 2022. Dr. Himanshu also practices and teaches yoga and is passionate about mountaineering and trekking. He has scaled the Kilimanjaro as well as the Everest Base Camp. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Himanshu Rai.
Dr. Himanshu Rai, please.
Once again, a very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. And it's amazing when you have all of that music to introduce you. Tan, 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 tan. Just a kind of a caveat before I begin, and that is I'm slightly under the weather. So if I kind of start getting into a coughing bout, don't panic. It's simply something that's going around. Reinvent, evolve, lead. You know, why are we talking about reinventing, evolving, and leading? December 2019, COVID hit this world. February 2020, we got some traces of it in India, and March 2020, the world went for a shutdown. However, that was merely the beginning of something that turned out to be a horror story. Because the long-term effect of COVID is something that stayed with us for far too long. What COVID did was, as I can summarize, it did three things. The first thing that it did was it brought fear, which was centered around economy, which was centered around economies, which was centered around money. And therefore, people started wondering if the economy is ever going to come out of it. The management institutions started wondering, will we need to change ourselves completely? The industries were questioning themselves. Individuals were questioning themselves because they were not very sure as to what lay ahead for them in the future. Now here, please remember, I'm not being condescending towards money. I mean, that would be the stupidest thing for me to do, given the kind of people that I have over here. I'm sure that in this auditorium itself, we have people who probably account for half the GDP of this country. I may be exaggerating a little, but roundabouts there. But please remember, to me, money is what money does. It's merely an instrumentality. And therefore, it is not important as to how much money do you have. It is not important as to how much wealth do you have flowing in that economy. What really matters is, what is it that you wish to do with that money? What is it that you wish to achieve? What is the kind of a universe that you're planning to step into? And therefore, never be afraid of things which are centered around money or economy. The second thing, and I think this was a big damage that COVID did to us and to this universe, and that was it inflicted some kind of a stress that led to negativity and negative thinking. People started wondering, are we ever going to come out of this? Because the horror story of the second wave was such that people actually thought that they were living through a nightmare. However, please remember, this too shall pass. After every sunset, there has to be a sunrise. And that's how the world moves. And therefore, every time you believe that there is some kind of stress building up, every time that you believe that there is something kind of a collective stress which is coming to the society, please remember it's you and I who can actually help each other and address that particular stress. Just like during the times of COVID, India launched the largest vaccine program in the world and very successfully did it. The third thing which COVID did was, it brought into people the fear of failure. What if things fail? What if things don't work out? What if I'm trying something new and something unknowable? Because COVID was something which was not unforeseeable, it was unknowable. People didn't even know what was going to happen with COVID. What if I fail? Now, I can assure you on behalf of the people who are here on this stage, because you find here all the captains of the industry, all the leaders of the industrial world, please remember, if we take 10 decisions, 1 or 2 of them are likely to go awry. If I take 10 initiatives, 1 or 2 of them are likely to fail. Just because you have failed in 1 or 2 things does not make you a failure. Please remember, you become a failure the day you stop trying. And therefore, what you need to understand is, never stop trying. If from this stage, anybody ever tells you that he or she has never fallen, he or she has never stumbled, believe me, that person is either lying or that person has never done anything new. Because only when you walk on a path which has been walked on before by thousands and thousands of people will you not stumble. But if you trailblaze, if you try to make your own path, you will stumble, you will fall. Uddyamen hi siddhyanti karyani na manorathai nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mriga. If a lion were to open his mouth, the deer is not going to come and sit inside. The lion will have to go out and hunt. Now, you must be wondering, why am I talking about lions? Because even if I have to be politically correct, I should be talking about cheetahs. Lion is one of the most ignored cat right now, the big cat. Pehle to usse chhin liya national animal ka hi, tiger ko bana diya. Now we are talking about cheetahs. But the reason why I'm talking about lions is, I don't know how many of you know this, but a lion succeeds in its hunt only once in 4 attempts. Now imagine you're a lion. And to me, all the people sitting over here are the lions and lionesses of my country. Now imagine you're a lion and you're chasing your prey. You can't chase your prey. You can't catch your prey. What will a lion do? Will the lion say, okay, I'm not going to chase anymore. I'm going to sit here with my mouth open and wait for the deer to come in? No, the lion takes a few deep breaths, Bhastrika pranayam thoda sa karta hai, rest karta hai, and then chases again. The lion fails again. The lion takes some rest, chases again, fails again, but the 4th time when the lion chases, that's when the lion gets his prey. And therefore, please remember, one of the things that COVID taught us is that hard work is necessary, but it is not sufficient. Beyond hard work, you need to have the grit. You need to have the perseverance to be able to get up every time you stumble, to be able to get up every time you fall. And that is the reason why we need to reinvent ourselves. COVID has made it mandatory for us to talk about reinventing. Now, what do you reinvent with this goddamn disease? To me, COVID also stands for another thing, and that is creating opportunities for visioning, introspection, and discovery. That, to me, is another thing that is about COVID. What is this visioning that I'm talking about? I want all of you to imagine the kind of a universe that you would want to step into. Imagine the kind of a universe that you would want your children to be brought in. And then also realize that nobody else is going to create that universe for you. You will have to create that universe for yourself. And therefore, COVID has made us actually think about, what is that universe? Is it a universe which is built on equity? Is it a universe which is built on fairness? Is it a universe which is built on providing equal opportunities to different sections of the society all over the world to allow every man and woman to realize his or her potential? And if yes, make sure that you reinvent your systems, you reinvent your thought process to be geared towards creating that universe. COVID made me introspect as well. Before COVID, I used to think that I'm a minimalist. I mean, in my introduction, they said that I practice and teach yoga, and I actually do that. And I used to think that I have never taken more than what I needed. COVID taught me that I still have a long way to go. Before COVID, I used to wear a shirt for a day, and then I used to give it for dry cleaning. I used to wear a suit for 3-4 days, and then I used to give it for dry cleaning. When the lockdown happened, suddenly there were no dry cleaners. And I realized that I could wear my shirt for 2 days, and it was still okay. I realized that I could wear my suit for 10 days, and it was still okay. And I also realized I don't have to give my shirt to the dry cleaners. Even the washing machine did fine. And therefore, what I realized was, if you can develop the capability of differentiating between your need and your desire, in that case, you can have this introspection leading to a life which is similar. Please remember, desires are unlimited. Yat jagrato durum udaiti daivam tadu suptasya tathaivaiti. Duram gamam jyotisham jyotirekam tanme manah shiv sankalpamastu. This human mind, it wanders as much in the state of wakefulness as it does when you're asleep. This human mind is a seat of desire. But if you can control your desire, something very funny happened in 2019. In 2019, we had the Kumbh at Prayagraj, and I was invited by one of the akhadas. First of all, I was surprised that why are they inviting me in one of the akhadas? And then I thought that obviously, maybe they are going to have a session on management or leadership, or maybe leadership through Gita. We were just talking about the fact that I talk about leadership through Gita. And when I went there to that akhada, I said, what do you want me to speak on? They said, we want you to speak on Amrit kya hai, Vish kya hai. I said, are you sure? Did you get the right Himanshu? Because clearly, this is not a subject that I usually speak on. They said, नहीं, आपका हमने बड़ा Google search किया, आप किसी भी विषय पे बोल लेंगे. So I said, हाँ, वो तो हम लोग अध्यापक लोग हैं, प्लस मेरे नाम के आगे राय लिखा है, तो मैं किसी भी चीज़ पे राय भी देता हूँ और बोलता भी हूँ. कभी-कभी बिना टॉपिक के भी. However, it made me once again introspect. And I said, what does this really mean? And that is something, and that was the time when I came up with something that I would like to share with you. Whatever you need is Amrit, उसके इतर आपने कुछ भी ले लिया, वो विष. जितनी भूख लगी उतना खाया वो अमृत, उससे अधिक आधी रोटी भी खा ली वो विष। जितनी प्यास लगी उतना पानी पिया वो अमृत, उससे अधिक कुछ भी ले लिया वो विष। जितने धन की आपको आवश्यकता है अपना जीवन निर्वाहन करने की, उतना यदि आपने संजोया वो अमृत, उसके अधिक यदि बटोर के अपने बैंक में रख लिया वो विष, वो नाश ही करेगा। And that is the introspection, I think, that COVID has led us to believe. And finally, discovery. Discover yourself. Discover your relationship with the universe. Do you remember? I mean, it sounds like a long time back. It feels like a long time back. But do you remember that the jungles had taken over the cities? You had peacocks. You had deer. You had animals coming out in hardcore cemented concrete cities. And not just in India, but all over the world. And I think one of the things, therefore, COVID did was it helped us in understanding our connection with the rest of the universe. Our Vedic scriptures have been talking about it a long time back. If you listen to the words of Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati, whose Jayanti we just celebrated 2 days back, he spoke about that. Dev Shanti, Antriksham Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Rapa Shanti, Roshadaya Shanti, Vanaspataya Shanti. It talks about what our relationship is with others. Please remember, the moment you understand your relationship with anyone, you automatically understand your responsibility. So if I know that he's my father, I automatically know that what my responsibilities are as a child. Likewise, the moment you discover your relationship with the universe, with water, with earth, with soil, with air, you will automatically also get to know as to what your responsibilities are. And therefore, I think this is the reinvention that you have to do so far as looking at the impact of COVID is concerned. What is evolving? There are three things, in my view, that are evolving today. The first thing is that artificial intelligence is here, whether you like it or not. Many people don't like it, and many people are worried that artificial intelligence is going to take over their jobs. To all my young friends over here, allow me to tell you, artificial intelligence will not take your jobs. People who understand artificial intelligence will take over the jobs of people who do not understand artificial intelligence. What you require is real intelligence. And therefore, whether you like it or not, the industry needs to adapt itself to artificial intelligence. The second thing that we are moving towards, and the things are evolving, is we are getting into an autodidactic world. What is an autodidactic world? People are going to choose what they want to learn, where they want to learn, when they want to learn, how they want to learn. And if you think things are going to stop over here, no. People, even the workers and your officers, are going to choose where they want to work, how they want to work, when they want to work, and what do they want to work on. There has been an ongoing debate, particularly in the IT industry, which has been trying to struggle with, do they allow their employees to moonlight or not? The fact is, it doesn't matter whether you allow them or not. They will, because they have seen that world. They have tasted that blood. And therefore, we need to sit together and get into that philosophical domain where we accept it as a reality and then see as to what can we do to address it. And the third thing that is changing is, what we have realized is that despite AI, despite ML, people matter. Why do people matter? Elon Musk can make as many driverless cars as he possibly wants. At least whenever he gets his mind off Twitter, he'll probably do some good things as well. However, even with Elon Musk, he needs a human being to make that philosophical discussion and decision about if the car has to kill 10 people versus its own owner, what will the car do? Please remember, science can tell you how to make better and better guns and how to make better and better medicines. But only philosophy can tell you when to use guns and when to use medicines. And philosophy is not a subject matter of artificial intelligence. Philosophy is not a subject matter of machine learning. Philosophy is a subject matter of human beings like you and I. And therefore, I think with this reinvention and evolution, the entire concept of leadership is going to change. So I'm going to talk about this new framework of leadership very, very briefly that I ask you to explore. This is something that I call the be, know, do framework of leadership. And this is going to be the leadership framework of tomorrow in the post-COVID, post-industry 4.0, post-society 5.0 world. Be what? Be emotionally intelligent. And to be emotionally intelligent, you need to be a kinesthetic speaker and you have to listen reflectively. A lot of people speak very well. However, they're not great listeners. Please remember there are two kinds of listeners on this planet. One who listen to respond and other who listen to understand. Most people fall in the former category. They listen to respond. And how do you identify these people? These are the people who will start answering your question even before you have finished asking it. Or you're still in the middle of the question and they will do this. Please note that the moment the other person does this, it really doesn't matter what you say, क्योंकि उत्तर तो इसने सोच लिया है और उत्तर तो आपको यही मिलेगा जो भी उसने सोचा है, no matter what your question subsequently is. But please remember, you have to become a reflective listener, a person who's listening to understand, including understanding silence. How do you begin that journey? That journey will begin by listening to yourself. That is one thing we don't do. We don't listen to ourselves. Please remember one thing. If you don't find your own company adequate, you will forever be lonely no matter how many people you have around you. And therefore, the first person that you have to love is you yourself. The first company that you have to love is your own company. You should be comfortable with your own skin. You should be comfortable being with yourself. So that is the B part. The second is the know part. Know yourself and seek self-improvement. Now, what do I really mean by this? Know yourself. Everybody would say, hey, of course I know myself. I'm so and so, I'm so and so. Do you really know yourself? For example, when I was introduced so graciously by Rakesh, he said, this is Himanshu, the director of IMA Indore, the chairman of IMA Indore. Please remember, this is my most superficial introduction. Why? Because it is drawn from a designation that I hold. And there is always a clear and a present danger if you start associating your identity with your designation. And the danger is that more often than not, we tend to associate our self-respect and our self-worth with our identity. Now look at this connection. If I'm drawing my identity from my designation, and if I'm drawing my self-respect from my identity, then the day the designation goes, so will my sense of self-respect. So will my sense of self-worth. I'm not going to be the director of IMA Indore forever. It's a 5-year tenure. I've already completed over 4 years. I'm not going to be the chairman of IMA Indore forever. It's a 3-year tenure. I've completed God knows how many. And therefore, you have to draw your identity from something deeper. You have to know the deeper side of you. And therefore, if any of you ask me, who are you? I'll say, I'm a teacher. Or I'll say, I'm a mountaineer. Because those are the two things where I draw my passion from. Those are the two things which make me truly happy. And once you have discovered yourself, once you know yourself, make sure that you seek self-improvement. You improve at every point of time. You become a better person. You try your best. Use your full capabilities. Why am I talking about this? I can see that some of you are kind of, already dangling in your seats. Why don't you do one thing? Raise your hands completely, all of you. A little more. Okay, a little more. Ouch. A little more. All right, thank you. Now tell me one thing. When I asked you to raise your hands completely the first time, why didn't you do it? After that, I told you 3 times, a little more, and you could do a little more. And I can assure you, if I told you another 3 times, you would have possibly stood up on your seats and did this. पहली बार में क्यों नहीं किया? Because we never give our 100%. कोई भी बोलता है काम हो जाएगा, 110% हो जाएगा. क्यों? वचने किम दरिद्रम. यदि मात्र बोलना है तो दरिद्रता क्यों दिखाएं? मैं आपके लिए पहाड़ तोड़ लाऊंगा, मैं आपके लिए चांद तारे तोड़ लाऊंगा. क्यों? लाना तो है नहीं. But please remember, because you're not giving your 100%, you're not realizing your true potential. And the future model of leadership has to ensure that all of us, we pull our weight. All of us make sure that we use our full capabilities. Please remember, you cannot be the same person twice. You have to be a better person tomorrow as compared to today. You have to be a better person day after tomorrow as compared to tomorrow. And finally, the last one, do make the right choices. Many times people tell me, what do you mean make the right choices? Things are natural. Please remember, and I hope I'm not sounding self-righteous when I give you this advice. Getting angry once in a while is natural. Staying angry for your entire life with someone, that's a choice. Disliking someone for something that the person did to you is natural. Nurturing hatred for a person, a community, a group of people for your life is a choice. Feeling guilty about something that you did or something that you did not do is natural. But beating yourself for the rest of your life and wallowing in self-pity, that's a choice. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, make the right choice. And if you make the right choices, one of the things that I would ask you to do and request you to do, please remember, by very virtue of sitting in this auditorium, by very virtue of the fact that you're listening to me, makes you and I a privileged person. I have the privilege of talking to you. You have the privilege of listening to the galaxy of speakers who are going to follow me. And by very virtue of having the privilege automatically entails two responsibilities. One, that you make the best use of that privilege. And two, that you do something for those who are not so privileged. I'll end with a story. A little girl was walking with a father on a sea beach. The father was on the cell phone and he walked a little ahead. He looked back after finishing his call and he saw that there were thousands and thousands of fish which were being washed ashore, and his little girl of 6-year-old, she was picking up each fish and trying to throw them back into the sea. So the father laughed an indulgent smile and he said, "Darling, what are you doing?" And the little girl said, "Dad, I'm trying to save these fish." The father said, "Little girl, you baby, you can't save the fish. Look at how many fish there are." The little girl smiled back at her father. She picked up a fish, threw it in the sea, and she said, "Dad, I made a difference to that one." Ladies and gentlemen, be that little girl. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for giving a whole new perspective and setting the stage for 2 days. Friends, you heard the 4 stories of India's growth enablers. We have got so many questions, but we have limited time to give to Q&A. So I'll ask first question to Dr. Himanshu Rai. You have the cordless mic near you. This question comes from Vaishnav Vishwavidyapit. What prompted you to launch the elective course on justice, ethics, and morality?
Okay, so this is an interesting one. It was such a long time back that I organized this course called Justice, Ethics, and Morality, and happens to be a super subscribed course. The reason was threefold, in fact. The first reason was that I realized that many of my students who used to come to me were a little confused about the difference between good and bad and right and wrong. And they said, look, good and bad is something which is told to us by our religion, by our community, by our parents. So is it the same as ethics? And therefore, I wanted to differentiate between morality and ethics. That was one. The second reason was something that had happened in 2008. So, I started teaching leadership from 2006, and the definition of leadership at that point of time that was given in social sciences was that leadership is a process by which a person influences others to accomplish an objective and directs the organization in such a way that makes it cohesive and coherent. And I thought, brilliant, all encompassing. And then in 2008, something happened. And what happened? Satyam happened. Ramalingam Raju happened. Here was a company called Satyam, and here was a person called Ramalingam. And then he scanned the country in such a way that 0.4% of our GDP got shaved down in that particular year itself. Of course, the Enrons had happened in 2001, and therefore we were already aware. And thus I said, here's a person who was revered so much. Where did he go wrong? And I realized that the definition of leadership actually lacked the presence of a moral compass. So that was my second reason. And the third reason was, every time I would talk about that definition, I would ask people to name some leaders who matched that definition. And people would name the usual, Mahatma Gandhi, J.R.E. Tata, and so on and so forth. However, the very first time I conducted this exercise, somebody also mentioned Hitler. Somebody also mentioned Osama bin Laden. And then when I looked at the definition, I realized that these two people also matched that definition. So there was nothing wrong with the people who were naming these people. There was something which was missing in the definition itself. And what was missing was the concept of fairness. And thus, came to me the idea that instead of talking to people only about passion, look at the villains of the history. Everyone was passionate. What they lacked was compassion. And therefore, I thought I have to also talk about compassion, and that can come under justice, ethics, and morality.
Very right, sir. Passion to compassion. We have next question from Patanjali Foods for Mr. Kabra. And it says that SMEs in India have two categories. One is those who evolve and get ready for emerging opportunities. And second is those who always complain to government for support. How can second category be brought to first?
It's a mindset. Very simple. Second category, see, for SME, in this budget, there's a tremendous support. Government has given that if you don't get payment on time, through whom supply, he has to pay the tax.
Right.
So their financial, this is the first time there is a total preference in this government for SME. Is very high. There is no issue. We also started SME. I have also, right now, we have some couple of business other than Arakavil, which are SME, and we are very happy. See, it's a simple, think differently, think long term, and focus on to create a foundation of your organization. Things will be changed.
Very good. We have next question from Mohini Fibers for Mr. Sanjay Jain. That Indian textile industry has been one of the largest employer traditionally. How can we grab global markets and remove unemployment from India?
I think so that's the dream of the government also. And I think so textiles, and like many other industries, is a global industry. And we should not compartmentalize us as a domestic industry, as an international industry. We should not only think global, a lot of us think global, but we don't act, but we act local. But if you want to be an international player, also act global, integrate and benchmark yourselves with the best in the world. Don't look at Indian companies, look at what's happening best in the world and focus and grow towards it. And as Mr. Kabra said, even if you're an MSME, please be focused, plan, dream big, have a vision, and I'm sure you'll capture global markets, because if we don't capture global markets, our industry is really not going to grow more than the Hindu rate of growth. So the real opportunity for Indian textile industry lies in that large global market which China is slowly vacating, and China plus one is now there to stay, and let that plus one be India. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have another question for Mr. Sanjay Agarwal from CA Alok Jain. That suddenly small finance has become big business. How can it really give a push and momentum to growth in economy and employment?
You did repeat the question, sorry.
Small finance has become big business now.
Yeah.
How can it really give a push and momentum to growth in economy and employment?
No, I think we got this small because the structure was this, that it was a special vehicle for do a small financing, do priority sector, all those things. But that doesn't mean that we cannot scale up, right? And as I told you that we were around maybe 5 lakh customers in 2017, being an NBFC. But now we are around 3.5 million customers, right? We were around 3,000 people as employees. Now we are 30,000 employees, right? We were around in 10 states. Now we are around 20 states. So I think you have to design your whole business model in a way that it is scalable, right? It has to be scalable. It has to be standardized. Has to be sustainable. So if you do these 3 things, then you can build a franchise. And if you build a franchise, then I think everything comes in play, which is whether you want to build more for your Indian economy or a world economy, or maybe you want to push for employees. I think then is a ripple effect which comes in play, right? So I think small is just a word, in my opinion, but you need to build more and more into it. Let's build more content. Let's build more kind of models which can be scalable. And then you get everything you want, right? So I think as far we are concerned, we know that we are a small finance bank, but we can operate like a big bank also, if our design allows us to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rakesh, I just want to add one thing. This concept that there is unemployment in the country, I think so it's a myth. Anyone who wants to work today in our country will find a job and an opportunity for sure, the way we are growing. Thank you.
Sanjay ji,
Issue is only of skill and unskill, right? Yeah.
Sanjay ji, there was one question which was very insistent to ask, although I am exceeding, is why do you recommend writing your own obituary? Sanjay ji.
You want to,
That means someone has read my book.
Yes, someone has read your book. Yeah.
I think so, to find your real goals of life. It's the last chapter of my book. The best part is you sit down and feel after 5 years, if you're no more, and you had to write your own obituary yourself. I think so you do sit down and pen that down. You'll find your real objective of life, and you'll stop postponing things in life, and you'll get on to doing what you really want to do.
Thank you, sir.
Because that is the biggest truth of life.
Thank you, sir. My dear friends, we had a wonderful session on India's growth enablers. I can say that 75 years back, we had made a tryst with destiny to bring back our past glory. We have seen in this session that India's growth enablers are making this possible and inspiring all of us that in this Amrit Kal, India can reinvent and evolve so that we can lead the world. I can borrow words from my favorite poet, Dushyant, to share feelings of all of you that कि सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मेरी कोशिश है कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए, मेरे सीने में नहीं तो तेरे सीने में सही, हो कहीं भी आग लेकिन आग जलनी चाहिए, आग जलनी चाहिए. Let this fire ignite our growth to lead the world. Now I invite Ms. Preeti Ladda and Mr. Sapan Shah to carry on the proceedings of award ceremony. Thank you everyone. Thank all of you.